Bienvenidos, welcome to Oye Dimelo Cinema Club. My name is Don Dino Spazzini, and I'll be your host tonight. We are gonna be reviewing Mujeres al borde de un ataque de nervios, or Women on the verge of a nervous breakdown. With me tonight we have JP and Michaela. We have a Steve Ades. We have a Ray, and we have Mr. Yason. So I picked Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. Well, I picked two movies, and you guys got to decide which one you wanted to see, and it was a tiebreaker, and I let the coin decide, and we got Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. I had seen this movie before once, and last time that it was my turn, we had ended up watching a Pedro Almodóvar film, and everyone that saw it seemed to like it and enjoy Pedro Almodóvar. So I'm just kind of like, next time it's my turn, I'll have another Pedro Almodóvar film. And yeah, I just think it's a really fun movie from what I remember. It's from the 80s, Pedro Almodóvar. It's a really young Antonio Banderas. It's just very colorful.
Really
I
cute.
remember it was crazy and wacky when I first saw it, and I saw it again, and it just seems even crazier and wackier this time. And I got way more things, because it'd been close to 20 years maybe since I had seen it. So there was a lot that I didn't remember that before just went right over me. But this time I was like, ooh la la, that's fun. So yeah, so that's kind of my second impression of it since we just rewatched it. To start us off on their first impression, Ray, would you like to give us your first impression?
Yes, I would. My first impression is felt very Pedro. And I think a younger me would have been super duper obsessed with this film. But because I already know some of Pedro's other stuff, I was like, okay, cool. I see why everyone loves it. I thought it was hilarious. And I think the thing that always pops up and never lets me down with the Pedro film is just like the colors, the characterization, and just like composition, like how he frames his characters. It's always so wacky, eclectic, and frenetic. Yeah, I'm thinking of all his films. I mean, there's exceptions. But
Yeah.
so yeah, I just love how kooky it was. I think it takes a certain level of craftsmanship to really maintain that throughout and not get the audience to like lose or feel like it's forced. And it always just feels authentically Pedro. So yeah.
Very cool. All right, Steve Des. You want to give us your first impression?
So first impressions is my first time watching this movie. I'm currently traveling, so I want to put that out there because I was interrupted a couple times watching this movie. And I gotta say that initially watching this movie, I was confused because I didn't know what was going on and stuff. But the more I got into the film, the more I started to understand where the movie was going, and the more I could tell this was a way older movie, not only because of the young babyface Antonio Banderas, but also because of certain sequences that they wanted to pull up as serious, and to me came up as silly.
I mean, it's a lot of over the top.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to share what the silly sequence, or you want to bring that up
Oh,
later?
the whole thing about the grandma with the guns and stuff like that, but we're like jumping ahead. like a
Oh
lot.
yeah.
Like all that is supposed to be like very tense or whatever, but to me, it just felt like, I don't know, wacky
Yeah.
racist or something.
Oh, I didn't see that as tense. I just thought it was over the top, almost like telenovela style. But anyway, yeah, we can get into that later for sure.
Yeah. So first impressions, good film. I really enjoyed the colors. There's a lot
Yeah.
of really great colors, the use of colors and everything. Uh, I was lost in a couple situations and dialogue and whatever because I didn't watch it with subtitles. But my Spanish navigated me through, and yeah.
Que bien. Okie dokie. Let's go to Michaela and JP. First
This
impression.
I really like this film. I think it's
I didn't.
Okay.
You can keep going.
No, I'm sorry.
I
You
just
go.
died a little.
You can go.
I just died a little. That was a little murder.
Okay.
I can't decide which Batman villain you laugh like.
he's his own villain, is what it is.
That's right.
No, you go. I'll leave.
Okay, go ahead.
So you really liked that, Michaela?
I really enjoyed the film. This is my first time seeing it. It kind of reminds me of like a whole bunch of like my favorite kind of like plays, like Limmy a Tenor, where it's like supposed to be played out like really melodramatically, but like the whole like situations are like so absurd and they just keep spiraling out of control. Like I really like those like kind of storylines, and it's really fun when you see one that's like executed really nicely. So like, yeah, no, like, and I loved every single outfit. I'm pretty sure I have every single one of those outfits in some form or another. It's nice to know there's a director out there with my kind of aesthetic. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful and really fun film to just watch. It was a delight.
Nice.
Okay. So, recently we went to the Academy Museum, and they actually had a whole exhibit of Pedro's movie, and there was a sizzle reel of like every iconic moments from his other films. We even saw a few from the one that we saw before. And when the scene from this movie popped up, spoiler, it was the sorry. It was the gazpacho scene. And I remember seeing the gazpacho scene. I was like, wow, this scene is completely whack out of context. And then we watched it in context. I don't know. You know what's crazy? I'm with you. You know, I really liked the visuals. I liked like everything. Like I could. This is gonna sound stupid. Everything I could see from the film, like how everything was set up, even the sets. We'll talk about one of the sets that blew my mind in the most wrong way. But I couldn't latch onto the story or to the characters. This isn't the first time that I saw a movie where like, oh, okay, this first scene, I think I get it. Like there is nobody on the verge. They're literally on the fucking breakdown when this movie starts. But like, I literally after the first act, the film, like, thank God it's a short movie, because I'm not gonna lie, I was very overwhelmed by like the ending, and I was like, I couldn't help but like, I wanted it to end. I wanted the movie to end so bad.
So yeah, no, it's crazy. Like almost everything about the movie, I completely was on board for, but the story, which is like the point of a movie. So yeah, that was my first impressions.
Well then, interesting. Yeah, I do want to get back. I kind of feel you a little bit with that, JP, that it can be a little confusing the first time watching it for sure, early on, because there is so much melodrama happening, but I think we'll get more into that for sure. Jason Eccles,
Yo.
first impressions.
So my first impression of this film, this is the first time I've actually heard of the film. I guess may have come across my desk or something before, but I've never seen it, never really truly heard of it. And I've never seen a Pedro Almodóvar, what's his name? Almodóvar?
Almodóvar. Almodóvar.
I've never seen Almodóvar's films, to be honest with you. I've seen posters, I've seen him featured places. So this is my first exposure to him. So being some of his earlier work, I didn't even know what year this movie was made. I actually thought maybe it was like 94 or something as I was watching it. I went in completely blind. But there's a lot that I liked about it. And then there's some that kind of just sort of hit me with like, yeah, this is how stories sort of went in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. I don't feel like it was all totally, what's the word, congruent. Like I didn't feel like it was all like the timeline kind of worked out. It was a little confusing. I don't think Steve was confused just because of he was in and out, because there were some moments that kind of confused me too. Like, what's going on? What are these relationships again? Like a little bit of that. But it was a thoroughly entertaining film. I know what Raymond means when he says, like, had he seen this as a younger person, he probably would have loved it more, or loved it. I understand why he would say that. But there's been so many other films now that would be more of an entertaining option than this per se, and probably more of Almodóvar movies that are probably
you can just call him Pedro if it's easier.
Or Pedro films that are more entertaining than this, and probably a better look at like him as a more polished, refined director in his prime. But this is still a very good film. One of the things I kept thinking about as I was watching this was like, how come I haven't seen more of these actors before? Few real standouts. Also, there's a few scenes in this movie. Like I wasn't sure of the year, but now after having seen them, I didn't know who copied who. But there were some copies in this movie that I've seen from other directors, other Hollywood directors who have probably genuinely lifted from this film. If this film didn't lift it from somewhere else, who knows? But first impression was I did like this movie, mostly because of the characters, more so than the story. I thought all the acting was pretty fun and cool, and everybody kind of hit their mark in that regard. So yeah, that's my first impression.
Very cool. All right. So I think we all kind of agree. I do think it was a little confusing the first time I saw it. It's just so much. Everything is already unraveling by the time the viewer gets to the movie, that it almost feels like, since the movie is so short, we might have missed some. Like if you just look away, like maybe you don't see the picture that has the dad and Antonio Banderas, and like the that he signed it, and like you don't pay attention for a little second and you miss like, oh wait, oh that person is an actor, that person is an actress, small little details like that. That being said, we already talked a little bit about color, the color palette, and I want to focus a little bit on that. Specifically, I'll start with just the credits at the beginning. I just thought that was so nicely done. What a credit scene at the beginning. It's like Huh?
Like the different
title
collages
cards?
we had for the title cards?
Title cards. That's what just the title cards themselves were like those could be prints on their own, like it was, and this again is from '88, so like it's not just like Photoshop and like let me put this black and white with these colors and cut like to me just the beginning there is just it kind of lays the scene of what the movie is going to be color wise, right? Like that's the that is a great use of a title sequence to be almost its own character leading into the film, and then of course it goes right into the little model apartment, right? That it's like, oh, is it gonna be to me the first time? It's like, are we supposed to think that this is the actual building? And then later on in the movie, you actually see the little model of the building and the guy, and they actually talk and reference the actual model of the building and stuff, which I think that was fun. So yeah, what colors popped out for you guys? Maybe in a silhouette or in a scene itself. Do you guys have a favorite sequence of colors or dress sequence, or just there are some great outfits, and that even includes the little stove top coffee espresso things. Well, for a second there, I thought Ray had the little espresso earrings, but no, he was just working on some nails.
That honestly, that was one of the looks that I just could not get over. It's the thing of it doesn't distract you enough from the story. It adds to it for me. That's like that's often how I feel when I watch Pedro's movies. Is like, wow, he makes this feel like it's supposed to be part of the story. And the little the espresso earrings were one of them. I now want like a pink dress with 2 tiny little guns to just parade around. Those are like some of my favorite looks. Even when she has like that is it considered a slip or a leotard or undergarment lingerie contraption?
Yeah.
Just like it's a style aesthetic a choice. And it's like and it always goes back to character too, because like the his wife, who was in the hospital for so many years, goes like, you can't throw away these things. They make me feel like time hasn't moved away, or however she says it exactly. But it just like it's so great. And then you find out later that she was in a hospital for 10 years, so she lost out on literally that time. And it's this other way of looking at like her wanting to hold on to something that just no longer exists. So it's not throwaway for style. It's like everything fuels story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, like I agree. Like the whole like they dress her in such a young 60s way that you associate with like young people, which like I loved, because I think it would have been so easy to just actually like dress her like an old woman, and like it still would have worked, but like the fact that he like maintained that this is how she's like holding on to her youth was just excellent. And like it's just the way he treats like reds and blues in his stories like are just amazing to me. Like he just plays with color so well. It really does feel like it's a part of his stories, and it's not just like something he's doing.
Yeah, no, the reds definitely popped a lot. And the phone's red, her dress was red. Even one of the like other stuff next to like the lamp. She had a very bright teal lamp and like different little clocks and trinkets on that nightstand. Mm-hmm. It reminded me very much of the room that from Fantastic. No, that wasn't from Fantastic Woman. It was from the one that thrown Banderas was in the last one that we saw, Pedro's.
The other Pedro Almodóvar film?
Wait, what?
The other Pedro Almodóvar film?
That Fantastic One wasn't.
No, not Fantastic, but the one before Pain and Glory.
Oh yeah, by Pain and Glory. Yeah, that one. It reminded me very much of his Penthouse, which like, yeah, it's also his movie. But what was I gonna say? Nah, pretty much that was about it. I like the use of the props. There was props that just stuck out.
Settings.
Yeah, that was what I liked, was the use of props and how they blended or popped in the scene.
A lot of phones. I mean,
Right.
think about it. It worries me not to go on a sidebar. It worries me that they're gonna be A, I'm now interested in the Broadway musical. B, it worries me whatever the Gina Rodriguez or whatever show is gonna be, because are they gonna do it modern? Modern, it's gonna be like that's the issue with the modern one. You have cell phones, so you can just text him or FaceTime him or whatever and be like, get your broke ass here, like you put a baby in my tummy type of thing, right? And this is way more cat and mouse, just the chase of it, and like you have the answering machine. Let me change the answering message going out specifically for one person. Like there's like the telephone booth. There's so much fun little playing that can happen with doing a period piece, or back then a present one, where you don't have plot holes and not just like we got to figure out how to get rid of cell phones and technology in today's day and age. But yeah, anyway, going back to colors.
Wait, I gotta go back to your sidebar. There's a musical, or is there going to be a musical?
There is a musical. There's a Broadway musical.
Okay, yeah, that third act definitely seemed very theatrical in that sense, and I kind of
Gazpacho, Gazpacho.
It's definitely like, yeah, this movie would probably play a lot better on stage than screen. But that's just me talking out loud.
Well, I got to tell you, I was a little confused about a lot of that gazpacho talk.
Gestapo.
Yeah. I was confused about all that gazpacho talk, man. Like, I got so many questions about that. But there was a lot of popping reds going on in this thing. But there was two outfits that really like kind of took me like that sort of took me away. Was the undergarment she was wearing when she told him to come in. I had questions about that because I'm like, well, why would she tell him to come in when she's still like half dressed? Like, yeah, you can see me half dressed.
It was a Basic Instinct type of moment.
It was definitely a moment, but that undergarment was incredible. I've never seen anything like that. That thing was hot to trot.
That was, I'm like, what? Oh, also, was that a moment? Before you continue on, I couldn't read. Like, I was trying to think how Antonio enters the scene, and I watched it twice. I was like, is this supposed to be something?
I was
thinking that. The only reason why I'm saying it's not a moment, my hot take on that hot little outfit, is that from our perspective, it's a moment, because we get the we get the very nice figure and tasteful areolas, if you will, whereas he doesn't get that. So him and that, to me, that is almost more just like her being a mother figure, right? And because then she's even like, oh, help me, zip it up or whatever type of thing, right?
I don't know. I never had time essentially try to fucking tie my tie and try to fucking neck me while fixing my collar. That happened like a scene before that. It might, maybe it was a motherly instinct in like, I don't know, a Japanese hentai, but definitely.
Wait. You're saying that did Antonio Banderas and the main girl almost smack it up in a previous scene? Did I miss that?
I'm pretty sure everyone, for some reason, like, he's a handsome man, but he looked like a fucking office dork. Everyone wanted to fuck him in that movie.
What?
I
think,
no, he's a
Well, like
I
that's
think
the joke. Is like he's
JP
like his
might be right.
father, where he's irresistible to women.
I see. That's what I was
so
thinking too. Like he had his father's sort of, je ne sais quoi,
yeah.
where they're like, "Hey, you are the son of the man,"
Yeah.
or it was just that maybe the actresses in this film was like, "That Antonio Banderas is going places. He's hot."
Yeah. Well, so apparently, Almodóvar, Pedro, early on in his films, would make Antonio be like goofy, like have a stutter. And I don't know if that's just like, oh yeah, this guy's super handsome. I'm gonna make him a little. I'm gonna make him shy or with a stutter or just
Try to
a
make
little
him a beta male
bumbling.
or some shit.
Well, I think that's like part of the joke. Is
Yeah.
like he's supposed
Yeah.
to be this very unassuming man who just has no clue as to why, like he always has like these urges and women's affection compared to his father, who knows exactly what's going on the whole time.
Right.
So it's
But
like
then his actual mother even says like, oh, or no, or maybe it's the main woman on the verge of a nervous breakdown that it's like, oh, he got it from his father too, right? Because he's like nonstop macking, like his girlfriend's like passed out and he's just macking and like titty grabbing that other girl who's like, like, yeah. So clearly the apple does not fall far from that tree of just wanting to go up any tree.
yes.
But we find out that his girlfriend is a virgin at the very end, which I didn't catch the first time at all. So maybe that's why he was just really hot and bothered.
Which is one of the most interesting lines of the whole movie.
What, is she a virgin? I thought her dream was that she felt like a virgin again.
No.
No.
So like
She
that's
said-
what the model said. And then after like Peppa comes back, they sit and have this conversation. She's like, I was a virgin, but now I don't think I am anymore because of this dream.
Yeah.
Oh, that must have.
Which is like, is that supposed to be an analogy to like his other film, where the
Which
woman
one?
gets the woman gets raped while she's asleep?
No, but this one came way before that one, I believe. But I am glad that Peppa was like, "Did one of the cops get you?" or something like that, and she's like, "No, just in my dream, just in my dream." And Peppa says something like, "Well, yeah, you seem way more like calm or whatever." Whereas when you first came in here, basically told her you had a resting bitch face. I feel like is what that final line was. Like she was like, virgins have resting bitch face, or is kind of what that final line was.
Yeah. I thought that was a great line, whatever it was at the end. I thought it was funny. I laughed out loud at it. It was great. Great in a odd way to end the movie too. He's like, I'm just gonna throw this thing in there. But and then the dress that Candela, I think her name was, the best friend.
Candela.
When she borrowed that dress and slicked her hair back, she looked like a prima late 80s model, man. She just looked like that thing. And she was gorgeous. My goodness, I never seen this woman before in my life. I'm like, man, who is she from 1988? I got a crush on her.
In Spain. And by the way, just a little tidbit, the woman who plays Antonio Banderas' mother is the same actress who plays Antonio Banderas' mother in that in Pain and Glory.
Penelope Cruz?
Yeah. No, the older version. The older version. Come on. Yeah, everything was full of colors, for sure, and the dress, even that blue, like that light blue striped miniskirt, whatever. Which kudos to her for climbing up a freaking dump, like a legit dump, to throw stuff away in that miniskirt, and then being like, I don't need a shower. Then again, she was trying to run away from the cops or whoever, so Yeah. Okay. So we talked about colors. I want to save the end for kind of the end because, like, I think people have said so much happens right there towards the end. Um, do we have a favorite character or scene other than in the end?
I do have a favorite scene because I don't have a favorite character.
Okay.
And the only reason why, because like during the film, it was set up that she's an actress and she actually works at a studio. One of the studios is her workplace, and so when there was a scene where she's on the outdoor patio of her penthouse, I thought she was in a set, like at the studio.
Yeah.
I thought she was at the studio because I made a joke saying, like, wow, this set looks real fake. Can you imagine how much faker they had to make it look for it to be a movie set? And then when the sister tries to jump, I realized, holy shit, no, that's her home. That wasn't a set. So that whole scene, I thought that was hilarious. And I got mad rooftop vibes from fucking that one Tommy Wiseau movie by The Room.
Yeah. No, don't say that. It had way more than the
like
room
no, like
rooftop
it's
going
a better
on.
movie, but that set was so.
It's
like,
a better movie.
I love that set for all the wrong reasons, and when that scene happened, I was like, man, I dig this because it looks. Not only is the scenario so hokey, but to me, the set just seems so completely unbelievable that it just added to that. You know, I don't know if it was a choice,
probably,
but like
I'm not sure, and that's one of those things where I'm not sure if it was a choice or since they were gonna have to do like studio set, then that's why he started with a little model of the apartment building. You know what I mean? Like
the penthouse.
Which, by the way, the model maker had a Captain America toy, right?
Yes, he did. He was doing it to the front of the set.
I didn't see that.
Well, see, like that's why I thought that it was like on purpose because like they make the whole point to like show you the model. So you get like a sense of like how this isn't supposed to be exactly the real world, which I don't know. It was a very surreal movie. I enjoyed it.
It is,
I think my favorite,
much like the backyard in that house movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a studio thing although this one actually goes and has live outdoor shots as well, right? So, I thought they mixed it in well. Man, just throwing shit out of the balcony. All those sequences were great. It's like, how many more shit can you throw out the window?
Yeah, no, and I think my favorite, like, there's like so many great like images in this film, and I think my favorite is when like they do the close up while the old lady's on the motorcycle. And it's just her hair blowing in the wind. Like, that was, like, such a wonderful, like, but see, that's why I think this movie is just so interesting, because it feels like an homage to a certain kind of, like, drama that, like, was very typical in cinema during that time, you know? Because, like, that's such a, like, you can't tell me that he was not trying to invoke the Wicked Witch of the West with that.
No,
even in the music.
I got also something like that.
Yeah,
I know that particular scene. It also felt very
it was beautiful.
Hitchcockian.
It was beautiful.
In a way.
Yes.
Like it's so like it's a ridiculous shot, but they fully committed and you have to admire
great.
that.
It was so good. Like, I think that's what makes this film work is everyone was taking it 100% seriously. And that's just so good. So tasty.
Nice.
Yeah, the ending for me is so great. I that motorcycle shot is both hilarious, but I also think it still maintains the tension. And then when you when you finally see her hair all disheveled from all the wind, I could not. They kept it going, right? Like they made sure that it caused effect, whatever. And then even when she's in the airport and she's taking, I don't know if it, I think it's what do you call the not the escalator, but the one that goes like this?
Yeah, the moving sidewalk or whatever that is.
Sure. The composition of that is just her floating head going like this.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's so funny. And
that's one of the shots that was lifted.
What do you mean?
Well, that exact shot was lifted from Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the opening sequence. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, wait a minute, I've seen this shot. Tarantino did it.
Going up the escalator and stuff. Okay.
Well, it wasn't up an escalator. It was the sideways escalator.
Oh. Was it just... I do remember that, but it was Jackie's whole body, though, right? It wasn't just like this
it was Jackie's whole body.
Head. Okay, I mean, I wouldn't say it's lifted also. I would...
It's the exact same framing, though.
Well, then Tarantino steals. Well,
I think everyone knows Tarantino steals.
Yeah, I know.
He samples.
You know what? It's samples, but I think Tarantino wouldn't like lie and say he didn't take something from something. I think he'd be honest and say, "Yeah, I saw this and I wanted to use it."
Well, and like it does feel like it's an homage, though. Like I wouldn't even call it stealing. Like I think it's a director being like, "This is the kind of stuff that like I see in these mediums, and like I want to celebrate that."
Yeah,
you know?
And I would think it
feels
more
like it's a celebration of like melodrama.
Yeah,
and that's why
I would think it's more stealing if like her hair is completely disheveled, right, and she's been like chasing or super neurotic. If not, then I'm just like, yeah, it could have been inspired by it or an homage of it, but I don't, I don't think it's stealing.
Or like that one Turkish sci-fi movie where they literally split in a bootleg version of Star Wars into their movie. That's a thing. That movie exists.
Well, somebody just made me aware the other day that the Ben-Hur chariot scene is completely ripped off by George Lucas for Phantom Menace. Just throwing that out there for a stolen scene. It's almost frame for frame the same thing, except one are pods and one are chariots.
Have you read or seen the movie Dune?
Yes.
I haven't read
Dune. Have you seen Star Wars?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that's where, that's where.
Battlestar Galactica. Star Kings.
Like a little thing that pops up in this video, and it's like a rabbit hole, and then it goes right into that one time we went into the George Lucas of it all.
Yep.
Wait, what? Did I miss something?
Because we've had that conversation in detail, where we talked about like George Lucas heavily homaging.
Hidden Fortress.
Yes, that. We need a little. Whenever we end up on this topic in a review, we need a little button that says the George Lucas Revolution.
Oh yeah, you're right. We do need that. It's like what they do in comic books, a little side panel that says "Go back to issue 67 for what happened." Yep, I agree.
Something like that.
So look up the Hidden Fortress episode of OE Dimelo Cinema Club, and you'll know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
a little throwback.
Nice. I mean, right? Everyone steals. Everyone is inspired by everyone else. I mean, the nice thing is, and George Lucas has been open about it, especially back then, of what his inspirations were and stuff like that. And then even help produce him and Francis Ford Coppola and Spielberg, I think, all helped produce Kagemusha, which was one of Akira Kurosawa's final films, if I'm not mistaken, because he had fallen off grace from the Japanese studios and couldn't, kind of was bankrupt and all that. So all these American filmmakers that grew up loving Kurosawa movies and took a lot from it ended up kind of like helping him on his final film or one of his last films.
Charity was much more affordable than like paying the royalties they fucking owed that man.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Language barrier, bro. I can't understand you, bro. No comprendo. Japonés. All right. Anyway, that was a long George Lucas side. So we were talking characters and even favorite scenes there for a moment. Someone was talking about plot holes or questions or issues earlier on.
I think that's almost everybody. Everybody was pretty confused with that last bit right there.
I think there is a plot hole. The first time I tried watching it, I was multitasking, which I hate doing, but I was trying to watch it before we talked. And then I was like, oh, there's so many details, which you were mentioning earlier. There's so many details in this film that if you're not fully committed to watching the film, you're just going to lose out on all of it. So I watched it again. And because I was paying that much more attention, I was like, something about the terrorist that she ends up in cahoots with doesn't line up. That story arc. It's like she says they're gonna hijack this airplane, and then she's worried that she's gonna get in trouble because they've been caught. But then
I think only the one got caught.
Okay.
Only one guy got caught, and then so that's why she's on the run, is because she's afraid that he's going to tell the cops that she was in on their plan, and she is, but she's not part of like the plan. Yeah. And then they call the cops to tell them that they are still planning on hijacking this airplane,
which happens to be the same plane that Ivan's going to take.
And I think the police actually catch him.
It's weird because like,
which is why they're there when the lady's there so quickly.
Like the thing is like,
I should watch it a third time.
The thing is, you know what I'm saying? Because like I saw all the little details and like I don't have to watch the movie again. Like it all does line up. Like it all does. Everything is connected. There's a lot of like nice little drops and foreshadowings and stuff that the audience is supposed to catch, and like for everything to make sense, which is very like it's almost very almost like we talked about Tarantino. It seems very Tarantino-esque, where like everything just comes together in the final act. I guess that was my issue with the film, was like there was not enough buildup or not enough for me to grab onto or even like commit to. It's like, oh yeah, I'm totally in for the ride. I was like, this is overwhelming. Like there's too many dots. Like just end it already. I felt like they made what could have been a simpler story much more complicated, which like that was just me, but I get how the part of the humor of the movie is just how ridiculous it does get, and how it suddenly wraps into like this neato bow at the end. But man, I was just not in it. I got mad at points. I was like, stop adding shit. Stop adding shit.
It feels that way, but it's not a whole lot of stuff actually being added, right? Like if you think about it.
Yeah,
no, like it feels like a lot is being.
But there is like a snowball effect where it's just like, oh, and like the reason why like everyone's treating this lady so weird is because she was actually in an insane asylum this whole time.
Yeah, like it all connects, but there's just so much of it in so little time.
The word I think is convoluted.
Yeah, a little bit. And who said it might be better as a play? Because this might be one of those that if you're sitting down in a theater, no distractions, then you might actually have to pay attention more, closely and clearly, and the hijinks won't be missed, right?
Well, I
Because
assume
one
that's
thing,
what they were trying to do anyways. Like, this is very much like Lend Me a Tenor, or I think it's called Boeing, where like it's like the three Stewarts and like they're all like almost braiding each other's storylines. Like, it's very much in that tradition. I feel like you could even go back to as far as Carnival and finding like Figaro plot lines that fit this.
maybe.
Which is like kind of like fun of it.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there could also be some Shakespearean stuff of just like
100%.
Love, lust, and trying to get one over. There's always another mistress.
It's much ado about nothing.
Okay.
A couple of things. One, we haven't even talked about probably the wackiest character, and when we talk about over the top or whatever, the taxi driver, right?
Oh my god! Yeah, it was the role I was meant to play.
Hey, well, let me call Gina Rodriguez, and maybe you still can.
I was trying to cast myself in the future TV adaptation of this film, and I was like, who speaks to me? And then he starts crying in the cab when she starts crying. She hasn't even told him what's up, and he's crying, and I'm like, that seems like the character. That's it. That's me.
That character, yeah. It's funny because we kept on comparing other characters in the film while we were watching it to celebrities and whatnot, and then we saw the cab driver. I was like, oh, that's Bill Hader Stefan if he had a taxi. It's like,
wow,
everything.
Yeah, that taxi cab driver is definitely a stand-up comedian in Spain, without a doubt. I don't know how I know that. I just know that I know that.
He has that vibe. It's crazy because like I as much fun I had with that character, like even him, he was not enough. Like I need this movie to end. Like drive faster.
Hey, at least he had like the most realistic like response to what was going on than like anyone else.
And he still helped their asses.
But it wasn't until after the car chase where he was just like, y'all, this is too much for me. Like, y'all, I'm getting shot at. Like, this was just supposed to be like a fun romp. Like, I am in peril, and I do not appreciate this situation right now, lady.
He kept driving even though he was getting shot at.
Yeah.
That line that line that he says has been said in a lot of films, hasn't it? Not just the follow that cab,
in movies,
but then also they always say this in movies.
Mm-hmm.
They always say this in movies.
For sure.
Like, yeah, follow that car. Oh, I thought that only happened in movies. And then it's like, oh, who do you want me to follow this time? It's like the motorcycle. It's like, oh shit. But then the simple thing, talk about like that would be, I guess, in the show, Ray would be an Uber driver because that became a thing with Uber and Lyft where it's like you want some mints, you want gum, you want
I'm pretty sure you got a Starburst from a Lyft that we had.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like in the earlier days of Uber, I had all kind of snacks back there. There would be waters and mints and a variety of things.
And
because the tip jar back then, it was like the only way to tip was physically, so they would have like a little tip jar there as well. Like, you want a baby water?
A tip jar in a Lyft.
And
well, Uber didn't used to have tips on the app.
It's true,
and so they could only do cash. And then Uber, this is a sidebar, but then Uber was taking the tip. Once they put it on the app, Uber wasn't giving the tip to the driver, like 100% of the tip. They're like, oh yeah, we'll take that. And so that became a huge, anyway, Uber Lyft. Anyway, point being, Ray Ray would be a Lyft driver, and cause Lyft, oh yeah, Ray Ray would drive it, and it would still have the pink mustache.
Yes, I was just about to say that.
Mustache, yeah.
But this would
We should
be
hired for this TV show. We're doing some. Those are those
We're
things
gonna
in
start
the
a
writers'
petition.
room where they go, "Ooh, put that on the board." That one.
but it's not gonna be a new mustache. It's gonna have a few bugs. That mustache has been through the rain once or twice. Like there's still beauty in it, but it's like, you want that on your car?
When those mustaches would get like real dirty, that's when it was like a problem. Like, take it off, man. It's over. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
Chicago in the wintertime, like all that salt and snow.
Just like a
and
frozen mustache. It looked like it had snot on it. Snot hanging from it.
That's when you knew that
like they're
committed.
like a rat nest in the mustache because it's like nice and warm for them.
Like that driver has 5 stars. I know it.
But just the great part of like just a small thing of like then he actually the last time, you know, after she gets like gazpacho, I almost said Gestapo, the gazpacho in her eyes, which is basically pepper spray. Because I mean, she said, well, the ingredients, there's onion and garlic and like I don't know, paprika or whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of shit in there. So like, and earlier when she was crying, she was like, "Oh, do you have any eye drops?" And he was like, "No." And then that final time, he had bought eye drops because he was like, "Oh, how do I not have eye drops? Like I'm crazy." So like, just a small little details, you know, made that character, or just the movie. They kept having little nuggets here and there coming back up.
Yeah.
Raymond, you keep freezing, Ray Ray.
This trash ass internet.
Sign
All
up
right.
now. I'm just kidding.
So I had a brain fart. I don't know.
It's like I was watching something the other day, and I forgot what this was. Maybe it was a TV show or something. But I guess one of the characters, it's kind of like almost like a Curb Your Enthusiasm type, Larry David type, and they're not paying attention to what's going on, so they just start doing like. But there's like bad internet connection, and they haven't said anything, so he's just like. Yeah. We haven't said anything in a while.
Like he was making himself freeze up.
No, I'm explaining this terribly. But like, an intense conversation was happening, and the main character, the Larry David guy, doesn't care. So he's just like using random expressions to pretend like he's listening. The reality is that the guy hasn't even been saying anything.
That's fine.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Anyway.
It's like, have we all been drinking the gazpacho and we're all about we're getting loopy?
Okay, can we just let's touch on the gazpacho real quick, you know, before we move on to anything else, since we're there already. The gazpacho confused me because, like, it's a soup, right? Like, why are people coming into each other's house to have a little cold soup? Like, do they put alcohol in the gazpacho? Like, why was that such a thing?
Yeah.
There's alcohol in it?
No. I mean, it's not just like soup, but it can be drank, right? I mean, you kind of like a V8 juice, right? You drink it.
But with alcohol.
I mean, you can.
I mean, that just sounds like a Bloody Mary to me.
When I saw the clip at the museum, I assumed it was like a michelada or a Bloody Mary.
Yeah, because the cops, I thought the fact that the cops said like we can because we're working. You know, we're working, but since you insist, we'll have one. That to me felt like, yeah, there's normally alcohol in them, right? And that's why they were like, yeah, we're not supposed to, but since you're being a good host, we want to be good guests, and we'll have some. So that's what I got from it. But yeah, I see it as a Bloody Mary type of situation. That
And so there's no repercussions for poisoning 3 police officers. That wasn't a thing.
That's your thing you got from this, Jason?
She
just
left her
disappeared.
ex-lover.
No,
on
they're
a
laying
plane,
on the ground,
knowing that it was gonna get hijacked.
I thought they were still laying on the ground. What'd you say? What'd you say, JP?
Did anyone catch that though? Like
What?
at the end of the scene, at the last scene in the airport, she's like I'll let you go, Ivan. She let him go, and like 20 innocent people on a plane that she knew was gonna get hijacked.
But they already caught him by then, right?
Yeah,
I thought they already caught them.
Did they catch him by then?
That's why
I
all
thought
the-
one of them was
Yeah.
still on the run.
Well, they were
That I
on the
caught.
run, but then they called in about the
That I did
hijacking,
catch.
and that's why all the cops were there, because that's what that whole gambit
Yeah.
was to explain why the cops were there, so that the lady who's shooting them would immediately get caught. That is why that was written that way.
I'm sure in the non-existent sequel of this movie, it would have taken place on the plane during the hijacking. Like they just missed that one asshole, that one guy who showed up late and had no idea what was going on. I was like, where are the guys? Am I gonna hijack this plane all by myself?
Yeah, I don't think it was gonna get hijacked, because at the end of the day, she saves him. Like, she could have just stood back and let the ex-wife or wife, I don't know if they're divorced or whatever, shoot his ass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Like, yeah, I'm gonna let him get killed because he's a scumbag. But no, she saved him. So I thought you were gonna mention how all the central casting extras all got up at the same time.
Right?
Like,
as if nothing
right.
happened. As if nothing happened. Like no one shot in the airport. Like
back
how
to
lenient
first position
was like airport security back then, dude.
Well,
Like we're like
it was 88.
No, that's honestly that was the part that I was like, yeah, this is definitely an 80s movie because you can just bring a gun.
Yeah.
There wasn't no TSA.
Well,
nobody was
I love
bothering you.
I also love the detail, like, they said that the place was swarming with cops, right? That's where all the police were. And there was only 2 cops, and they were asleep on the bench.
Yeah, they were. It was an ongoing thing for sure. Which were the 2 cops that went to her apartment, the 2 cops from the commercial, or did they just look similar?
Oh, I didn't think about that. We'll have to rewatch it.
Huh?
No, absolutely not.
There's
You
tons
were
of charm.
gonna say it.
Which that's also just an over-the-top commercial, right? Just the like murder.
Mr. Clean.
Like, oh, it smells so good, and there's no blood or what brains.
With my son, the machete murderer.
Is that what your translation said?
Yeah.
Yeah, the translation
Machete?
was funny.
That's kind of funny.
And then at the end, it was like, I forgot what the tagline was, but it was funny too.
I just
It's
kept,
yeah.
like a Billy Mays type commercial with that. It's like, kill as much as you like for only $9.99.
No, incriminating.
You need to work on your levels, JP.
Try living with them.
I'll pass. I'll let you, or else it's gonna be Dino on. If Dino and JP are living together, it's gonna be Dino on the verge of a nervous breakdown. Yeah.
Oh, you have no idea.
All right. Well, I think unless anyone had any other questions or wanted to bring up a specific point, I think we can go into final thoughts. Anyone questions? Questions? Anyone? Bueller? No? All right. Let's get into final thoughts. I'll start with JP.
Like, oh my gosh, if it wasn't for, I'm not gonna lie, it still was not. Like, a lot of things about the movie I really liked, but I was not a fan of the story and where it led up to, because I don't know, it literally became like a fucking like whodunit type of mystery movie by like midway through the second act that I was like, man, I'm watching a completely different movie now, and it's like I'm not for it. I just didn't like it. So that part sucks. But yeah, it's a nice looking film. It's quirky. It does have its moments. It's funny. I'm willing to admit it has some really funny moments. But overall, like I didn't like the story. But I can't say that I can't not recommend it, because I recommended way worse movies, knowing that it was bad movies. So I can't in good conscience say, like, I don't know who to recommend this to. No, I could say that at least. I don't know who to recommend this to, but I'll recommend it. If you want to watch it, go ahead. I'm not a fan, but I'm not going to say that's awful either. You know, I kind of did.
Kind of did, yeah.
Okay.
I think this movie's neat. I want to watch it again. And that's my final thought about that.
Okay. Steve, you raised your hand. You want to go?
Yes. Final thoughts. So this movie was very confusing. This is definitely a movie that you want to watch twice, because even me being a native Spanish speaker, there were still things that I didn't necessarily get. Would it be a movie that I would be like really eager and excited to watch? Maybe not. But if you're a big fan of, Antonio Banderas and foreign films, you might want to check it out. I really enjoy, like, to me, honestly, the thing that I enjoyed the most were the visuals of this film. Like the colors, the costumes, the old towns, and like how it was, the settings that they were in. All that was to me out of this world. But the plot itself was very confusing. Would I watch the series? I don't know. I don't know if I would. But would I watch this movie again? Yeah, I will watch it a second time. I will give it a second watch. Would I recommend? Who would I recommend it to? Honestly, people that are into foreign films. Like, those are the only people I can think of that I would recommend this movie, because, not to say this movie's a havoc, but it's very close.
Damn!
Wow.
Really? You're putting this up there with Havoc? Wow. That's cold. Jason, can we get your final thoughts and maybe a palate cleanser from what Steve just said?
After that spicy gazpacho?
I'll certainly do my best. I think I would recommend this movie in the same vein as most of you, to people who are foreign film fans, or people who love Pedro, or people who want to see some earlier Banderas. If someone wants to see a Spanish film from the 80s, I might recommend it. Just very specific people. I wouldn't just like throw this thing around all willy-nilly. Now, would I watch it again? I wouldn't throw this thing out of bed, but I wouldn't make any active plan to go find it again. You know what I mean? Somebody would have to like lure me to it. Or maybe I would have to go back. Yeah, if someone poured me a nice gazpacho, I might be, prone to give this thing another shot. I did like this film, and it did enough to make me want to see what else Pedro has done. Now, if Pedro wasn't a very famous, Hollywood director now, worldwide, global film director, then maybe not. But he did, and I kind of want to see how his craft grew and improved as he continued to make films, because this was a long time ago. So would I recommend those things? Yes, to the people that I mentioned. Those are my final.
Nice. Ray?
My final thoughts are: this is a fun film, and it's colorful, and I think someone used the word absurd, and I'm going to say absurdist. I don't even know if that's right, but it's a very absurdist film. It's a foreign film. It's very Pedro. It's like a young Pedro. I don't know when he started, but this feels like a young Pedro after seeing like Volver and Talk to Her and some of these other ones that are, it just feels so much more elevated and dense. But maybe not, because then he also did that one of the people on the plane. And that one's wacky like this one too. I don't know why I'm trying to pretend like I know Pedro enough to even say something about Pedro. So
we gotta work on your sizzle. We gotta work on your sizzle reel to get on become a cab driver. So only good things about Pedro.
This is my sizzle reel. I start crying at the end of this. And Pedro's so good, and da-da-da-da.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, it's a lot of fun. I'd recommend putting away your laptop, putting away your phone, watching this with a friend or two, because I think it'd be the most fun doing it that way.
Nice. Steve, you want to do your final thoughts before I finish it up? Maybe.
Oh?
Did he?
I think he did. Do you not? No, he already gave
Yeah,
us-
he
Oh,
had,
you already did? Oh,
Yeah, I
my
already
bad.
did.
Okay,
dramatic, dramatic for you.
I guess I'll go. I guess my gazpacho has been pretty hard. Yeah, this is a weird one. I guess I'm the only one that's watched this one before, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. And it's been almost 20 years, but I enjoyed it way more this time than the first time. And I don't know if this is sacrilegious, but this could be like one of those, maybe The Big Lebowski, or is it Drop Dead Gorgeous? Is that the one where they're doing the beauty pageant and they start dying off and stuff like that? This feels like one of those. And I know it's hard to think of I want to rewatch this, right? Like, it might be a tough one to put your mind to let me rewatch this. But this might be one of those movies that gets better every time you rewatch it. I don't know what that says. Maybe I'm wrong, but just from my experience, it's so much more fun because watching it again, because just some of the nuances, and again, I had forgotten a lot about it, but watching it again was great. I really enjoyed it. I don't know about the TV show and all that stuff, but I would recommend this. Again, Pedro fans, Gazpacho fans, Antonio fans, Only fans. I think there's a little bit for everyone. No, yeah, for foreign film people, buffs, if you will. And again, if you start to watch other of the Pedro Almodóvar films, it's kind of, this, I believe, is the movie that kind of got him out there and really, I think, took over internationally. And then he started being a little bit more renowned. And then Todo Sobre Mi Madre, I believe, was the other one with Penelope Cruz, is when he became a little more Hollywood, like my brother would say. So yeah, I just enjoyed it. A lot of colors. It's fun. It's wacky tobacco a lot, and so the thing is, it is a little over the place. It can seem boring, especially the first time around. But there's just so many iconic scenes, and kind of like Jason's pointed out of other artists possibly pulling from it. Now I'm interested to maybe go and dig up if who has maybe pulled from this, or even seen a deeper thing of did Pedro pull from other things? Because there's a whole, I guess, meta thing of them Pepa and Ivan, they're actually dubbing movies, right? So they're dubbing American movies and stuff like that at the beginning. So there's so many other layers to it that we didn't even think about it. And then just the interesting from a psychological point of view, I don't know if you guys noticed that the lady that was in the loony bin said that basically what woke her up was the fact that the TV was playing a movie that Peppa and Ivan had dubbed, and she could tell like the love between the two of them because they were lovers, and that's what kicked her back into gear. So stuff like that, it has other layers that we didn't even touch, but that's for that can be there for the next jug of gazpacho conversation. But yeah, I think that's it, guys. Yeah, again, it's a wacky. It's got great colors. I enjoyed the music, wacky characters. Captain America has a cameo, and it's like he has his shield with him. So it's watch the movie. It doesn't matter who you are. Just watch the movie. You thank me later. All right. Jason, you got a question?
I do, in fact. This question I do have is for Steve Dez, and I was really curious, Steve. What do you got for us next week?
Next week, I been wanting to be my turn, but the thing is, since I'm still traveling, I kind of just pass it around. So thank you for asking, but it's not actually my turn. It's actually Michaela's turn.
Michaela!
All right. So I think this week we are going to be choosing between Day of the Dead or the Triplets of Bellevue. Or Belleville.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god, I love the score for Triplets, and I've never seen it.
So, if you want Day of the Dead, it's a 1. And if you want Triplets, that's a 2.
Wait, which Day of the Dead is it?
Which Day of the Dead is it?
Huh?
It's the 85, I think it is.
Is that Romero?
Yes, it is.
Okay, just that poster of it just looks way modern, and I'm like, is there another one I don't know of?
Yeah, no. It's the Romero one.
Oh man, I have no
Number
idea.
1. Number 2.
Okay.
Number 1. Number 2.
Okay.
Wait, which one's the one which one's the Barbara says da da da, and it's like a zombie film?
Oh, they're going to get you, Barbara.
Yeah, no, this is like
that's Day of the Walking Dead, no?
Yeah, that's Day of the Walking Dead. And then I think
That's Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, it's Night of the Living Dead, and then the one in their shopping mall. Yeah, like he names them all very similar. But this is one of my favorites of his.
Oh.
Thank you.
I'm so... Yeah, I don't know. I'm so on the fence. But all right. Is there a countdown? Are we all ready?
Number 1.
You, Barbara.
Number 2. All right. You guys ready? You make your picks?
Optometrist. Number 1. Number 2.
All right. You guys ready?
Yeah. Do your countdown.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, wait.
Wait,
Steve, did you cheat?
Wait, what?
Did Steve cheat there at the very end?
I think it was suspense. So I guess we're watching the Frenchie then, right?
Yep.
It was suspense. We're
The
watching
Triplets of Belleville.
Belleville. Because if you know me, I always pick what's not horror. So there you go. So
I
that's
know,
what
I
I got
can't.
next week.
You
What?
don't know
Yeah.
that. Just...
All right, for Michaela, JP, Steve Dez, Jason Eccles, Ray, taxi cab driver number 1, and El Dondino. We'll catch you guys next time. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Steve Des from Oye Dimelo Network. Make sure to subscribe and click here or here to watch more video content just for you.